Hi guys, good morning. Somebody out there, this lady is saying may get into a car accident this weekend, so be careful if you're driving around. Saying that you guys went through a breakup is pretty accurate for what you guys have been going through lately. Just want you to be careful, okay? Alright, first thing out, Ace of Cups. Ace represents new friendships and love interests. Someone special will be entering the picture soon. Whether this person ends up being your true love or a great new friend. Trust that things are unfolding just as they should and enjoy the moment and go with the flow. I do think that there are a lot of people. There's a lot of people right now who are going through, one or the other, unfortunately. It's just the way that it is. And as shitty as it is for those of you who are going through breakups right now, even if you're not, even as one of the people that's not going through a breakup right now, I just want you to know that I was thinking about it the other day, and I think it's just really cool that we can actually all be here for each other in different ways. And it's a good thing that we're on different levels and during different times, because we need to be able to be mentors and elders to people who are struggling, and that's what our duty is here right now to do. It's to do both, enjoy the process, and for those of you who don't know, I have blogged my entire single scene for the last few years, everything. It's been a shit show of emotions, so trust me, I do know what you're going through. But what I can say is that I started this journey grieving a suicide that I had found the body of, and it really just fucked me up. And with that happening, I end up taking that leap of faith that I'd been wanting to do, honestly, for a long time. And I left the person I was with, and I moved, and I changed my number, took off to Alaska, and I end up I for sure have healed over that death, and I've healed over the person that I separated with. We were in an 8-year relationship, and we bought this house together, and 5 days into it, we broke up from cheating and him cheating. And even though it's really hard, sometimes to deal with those things, at the end of the day, when certain events occur, you guys just gonna have to ask yourselves about the promises that you originally made to yourself, which is, what things did you originally say supposedly you would never tolerate, that you would never deal with? Are you keeping your word to yourself? Because a lot of times in relationships, you're kind of disappointed in yourself, and that's what you're feeling. It's not, you shouldn't at the end of the day be angry and feeling like you hate your partner for not being able to deliver. I think that the biggest thing that we need to focus on is, for one, there was a time that we looked at those people like they were the one. They were the one for us, and you gotta overcome that anger that you have and that animosity and hostility. I hear some of you guys are very hostile towards the other person right now. You're very fucking upset. You're very angry, and I've seen people that are angry, and they spend their whole life honestly grieving really their own fucking shit. Because somebody taught me when I was getting the help that I came up here to get when I went to treatment, they basically said, so many times we're sitting there and we're thinking about what another person did to us, and we allow that thought to start to make our body brew up with all these different feelings, emotions, and we can easily spend days thinking about it. I mean, be honest with yourself, how many days of the month do we think about it almost every fucking day? Sometimes breakups or deaths or just loss in general, it can consume us. I know for Martin's death, the suicide, I spent about a good 4 years No joke, easy. 4 years passed easy, and I was trying to get in the swing of paying all the bills by myself, going through a breakup, losing a family, working in Alaska and over here, and trying to just gather my emotions. And it was just like, Alaska was amazing for me, because in Alaska we were gone for 4 months at a time, and you couldn't get off the boat if you wanted to anyway. So it forced me to be alone and to heal, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was one of the best things I've done many, but Alaska is really great if you're somebody who just feels like you need somewhere to stay, which I didn't. I had my own house, but I needed to triple my income, so I was able to make that money out there. But every night I laid on that rocking ship bunk bed, and I had my hands in prayer that I was gonna make enough on every check to I didn't care if I had any extra. I just kept praying for what I needed for bills. And I remember, I not only remember the way that the metal stairs felt underneath my butt while I sat there and looked out onto the ocean and cried in Mystique. And I've seen so many beautiful things out there. Whales, just shooting water into the sunset, and the sun when it goes down in the sea. It looks so beautiful. It's like a sherbet colorful beach ball, and it slowly and ginormously lowers itself towards the ocean, and there's just nothing like the sunset and the birds and the waves in the middle of the freaking sea. And when you take moments to see things like that, it's just, it's unbelievably beautiful. And when you challenge yourself to just keep pushing even though it's hard, you end up you're just proud of yourself the whole time. You got two options when things happen, guys. You can either give up or you can work harder. And I know it's hard, because it's like the opposite of what the body would want to do during those moments. You're feeling tired, exhausted, and weak. And I was tired too. Very tired. It takes all your energy away. So that's why it's very important that you're mindful of the thoughts that you think and the words that you say, because every time you let yourself think something or talk about something, you're burning your own energy. And you need to think of yourself as like a car with gas, and it will exhaust you really fucking fast. The trip that I broke up with Zeke, well, we'd already broken up, I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to sit here and say it was just a penis sticker. We'd broken up, and him and Brooke decided to come and move in the fucking house. And they told me basically that they didn't see a reason why they couldn't be here while I was gone, because I was out of state. It's very difficult for me during that trip, because I could see a lot of reasons why the fuck they shouldn't have been in my bed. But it is what it is, you know? But that trip, I remember in particular, I was really fucking tired. We worked really long days, and I kept sneaking either into the attic, or I would sneak into the bathroom and lock the door. And I would tell myself 20 minutes should be fine, because I figured realistically 20 minutes, my boss, wouldn't, maybe she wouldn't catch me missing, or I could play it off like I wasn't missing, that was the thought there. One day, one of our members of the boat, he came up to the attic, and he seen me basically kind of laying there, and I just look back on that. I was really scared I was going to get in trouble, and I jumped up, and my boss, she treated me pretty poorly, honestly. She was just not a good leader, in my opinion. And I was, scared I was going to get in trouble. But, honestly, guys, who the fuck ever works that long a days? No days off for 4 months long. But it wasn't that there was the issue. It was that me and Zeke were struggling. We were going through that breakup, and I found out that they were even, doing what they were doing, because my email basically sent me a notification in the middle of the night, and I wake up to it, and that's just kind of how I found out. And, when you guys suddenly find these things out, it obviously comes as a surprise. You're in the middle of doing whatever you're doing, and It was a really rough trip. I'd never taken a nap any time before or after that. And even when I came back to my next trip, I admitted to my boss. I just want to let you know, man, I was sleeping. I'm really sorry. I felt real sick that trip. And just wanted to be honest. I didn't want to be a liar. She said, I know you were. And at least, I owned it. And there's nothing wrong with, the fact that we get weak and we get tired and that things suddenly happen. But at the end of it, you just got to keep pushing, dude. You got to keep working. You can't give up your house. You can't give up your dreams. You can never stop doing that stuff. Like, obviously, nobody's expected to be able to always pay for everything. It's expensive. That's why I had to go to Alaska. I had to pay attention to who the fuck I knew that made anything with their self. And I saw my uncle. He was traveling everywhere all the time by airplane. He would just come and, like, when he was off the boat, he would maybe only have, 24 hours before he had to go back. He had enough money to actually fly back home and see his wife for that short period of time and then get back before they left again. And I just thought, I want to make that kind of money. And it was great for me. I loved it. I'm really, truly changed after Alaska. I would recommend it to anyone. If I can get the job, you guys can get the job. And yes, you do have to touch fish. I've seen some guys come out there on the boat and they were just so surprised that they were going to be fish processors that 2 of them actually refused to touch the fish. Did you just what the fuck? Oh my gosh, that same guy is so funny. I played so many pranks on him, dude. Oh my gosh, every time the plane would get turbulence and because from Anchorage to Dutch, it's a 3-hour ride over the ocean. And for most of the guys, even my uncle, they say it's their scariest flight they do anywhere. It doesn't bother me. The worst thing I'm thinking is, do we have a bathroom on this plane? I don't know. I personally feel like if we're going to crash the fucking plane, I'd rather go into the water than on land. And they're like, oh my gosh, we're over water, we're over the ocean. You're like, what's the fucking difference between that and land? But whatever. I would always say, as soon as that felt like the airplane was rumbling really bad, I always asked him, hey boys, would you guys rather die in a plane crash or from the boat sinking? They just shut the fuck up. Guys are so funny when danger occurs. Do you know that on the boat, one of my jobs is to distribute and size up the guys and make sure that they get the proper life suit. And I keep them organized, and we all have to go in an organized line, and then you have the galley girls that are waiting right by the suit bins, and we hand each man a suit of his size, and when we are complete, we put ours on and save our life. Did you guys pick us to do that on purpose? I'm just wondering how in the fuck the galley girl got that duty. I mean, I don't mind. I'm probably the most unscared one. I'm brave as fuck. But it is unusual to me that the little housewives will have to do that. Even on Titanic, bro, the men and the women or the children and the women are first. Whatever, you guys should take a look at that. That seems Jeeves right there. You guys need to be responsible for that. There should be no reason whatsoever why any of the females are actually responsible for handing the life stuff out and then doing theirs at the end. Or you should switch up the drill at least and make sure that they put theirs on first or something. I don't know what to tell you, but that does not make sense. It almost seems like you're picking the least important person or something. Because you don't pick the chef and you don't pick the captain. You don't pick any, you only pick the girl that does the laundry and cleans the place. Is that because that might be the easiest to replace, or it don't matter the most? I don't know what the fuck. Either way, it was still cool. When these type of things occur as well, you're on a time crunch. You don't have a lot of time at all. And you are feeling weak and tired as fuck. And it does. It takes an act of complete determination to overcome the way that you're going to feel during these times, you guys. It's going to be fucking hard. I kept blowing Zeke up. I was so pissed. And he started even letting her answer his phone and told me, they both told me I could talk to her now all of a sudden. It was bullshit. My kids actually had to move out of the fucking house, and my parents had to take them. And my sister had to watch over them because he was like, obviously, was just really excited to have a new girlfriend, and he was like experiencing that kind of energy to the point where he was one of those people that didn't put what mattered first. He even didn't, like, the kids didn't want to come back because they didn't know this woman, and I'd been their dad, and we had been together their whole life. Like, he started raising Halo at 6 months old, so it was pretty hard for her. It was a lot for her, and during his time, he was definitely more excited about having a person in his life than he was about the priorities in his life. And I wasn't saying that they couldn't be together, but like at different points, I would call and say like, she wants to come to her house. Like, is there any way that you guys can like hang out at a different time, basically, and let her spend time at home with you and her? Just like, she doesn't want, like, what the fuck, like that was her first time ever experiencing a literal, like, she lost her, that was a divorce for her. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't know. He was just completely ridiculous about it. Even she started saying that I wasn't going to dictate their relationship anymore. They even spent 2 months worth of my mortgage money off of my debit card. And I was behind, even though I'd went out there to make sure that I didn't fall behind. And I didn't know that either. I mean, it was a lot. Even my dog got porcupined. I want to say even twice. It was unbelievable. I had to actually call my mom and send her money, actually, and have her take care of it because the lack of responsibility in the matter. Eventually, I watched Mrs. Doubtfire. And I was just doing dishes in the galley, and I hear Miss Doubtfire being played in the background. The guys always loved to watch movies. And I just heard a scene on there, and it was just saying that sometimes mommies and daddies don't get along. And we all know that the movie Mrs. Doubtfire talks a lot about visitation and new relationships. And that's what really hit me one day, was that I realized, I realized I was fighting something that I didn't want anymore. And that's what I did. I just went through the yes or no checklist, and I said, after I watched that, I was like, mommies and daddies now get along, but that doesn't mean that you guys shouldn't be able to both see the kids and both forgive each other. And you guys might want to watch Miss Doubtfire. If you are somebody who has a heart, you should be leaving the scene honestly feeling different. And if you don't feel different when you leave the scene, then you're just probably, and I don't know if these people change or not, but more than likely, I just think people are either naturally evil or they're naturally good and were raised maybe around evil. From my experience, my sister passed away when I was 14, and that's what changed my fucking attitude problem. But I was evil as fuck, dude. I was the meanest to my family for sure. But yeah, it was my sister passing that made me different. I thought, damn, she was so amazing, and I tried so hard. And she tried not at all. My sister Kinsey was just a sweetheart. She was a book reader, and she was a messy bun girl. She never wore makeup, maybe on prom. She was so cute. I don't remember literally nothing bad from her. She was such a beautiful person, and the day she died, the literal freaking auditorium completely, there was nowhere to sit. The stands were full, all the bleachers were full. We did it in the high school. So you can imagine how big the gym was. And every bleacher, every chair was full, and people were standing, and they were there to honor her. And I just realized, holy shit, this woman who was simple as fuck has a good heart. She had a great heart. She had a great enough heart that Jesus himself wanted her up there with him. That's what I do believe it's about, is ooh, I can't choose, they're so pretty. It's about being heavenly enough to get there. And what lesson did they leave behind to teach us? So everything is about a lesson, and it's about growing in wisdom. And when you guys understand that, every experience elevates us through wisdom. And that the actual bigger picture here is that these experiences are going to occur to us for a reason. Because that may be your class of duty that you're responsible for teaching on this earth. Every one of us is a teacher. Education is free, and it's available through every one of our experiences. And when things don't work out and they're not working out, you got to look at yourself and your approach to these things and figure out what it is that could be adjusted to be done better. And when you find yourself also going through another situation that's the same as before, you're going to keep going through that exact same thing, just with different people possibly, or the same ones even, until you take the stand that you need to, until you find what it is that you could correct within your approach. So you're never going to stop having life stuff happen. That's not why we didn't come down here to do whatever we want on this earth. There is a purpose, an ultimate purpose, actually, probably, and that one's not even talked about. What is the ultimate purpose? Like, we know, some of us know that we're supposed to be down here to love, to help people, but I'm just feeling in my heart right now, like, there is, like, even a bigger purpose. So that's the cool stuff. It's just, like, the bigger purpose is like probably getting to God in the end, don't you think? And enjoying ourselves. And you're going to have to work hard because this is a big promotion to go to heaven. People don't go to heaven easily. They have to work really hard. So, you don't have to believe in heaven or hell, but if you don't, then you're already living in it, right? There's nothing more to look forward to after this. So if you don't believe that there's anywhere to go after you're done here, then why are you acting as if... I would just imagine if there's no reincarnation for some people, if there's no heaven or hell in your mind for some people, then this is it for you. This is it. It just doesn't seem right to believe within yourself, honestly, that this is what you need to be doing. Because if this would be it for those people who are complaining about life being so crappy that it makes them have the attitude problems that it does, then it wouldn't really make sense that they're so okay with still sticking around, basically, on this earth. The complainers that we hear that are bitching and moaning all the time about how shit should be this way and that way, those are not the same people as the silent sufferers. Silent sufferers, like, they act different. Look at freaking Robin Williams, Even my own boss, Martin, like, I never knew he was going to do that weekend. I literally remember him wearing his black leather jacket as he walked out the door. I would have never known that. I've never seen anybody. My niece, she did it too. Nobody's seen that coming. She was an extremely great dancer. Just probably, they say that suicide targets a lot of kids too, ages 5 to 14. So you guys need to be watching that. I just had a talk with my daughter about it the other night too. You gotta look into their eyes. I saw my daughter's eyes were looking all sad, a while back, and I just told her I love her. And those are things that I've noticed, like, in my experiences, that sometimes you don't see that shit until later, and it's like you look into their pictures and you see their eyes are like super sad, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, how did I not see that literally right there in front of them? And, like, that's okay. You can't be perfect. It's just about recognizing it now and not being hard on yourself. Because if you be hard on yourself and you live in regret, what are you going to miss this time? You have more patience. You have more clients. You have more shit to do. So understanding where you went wrong is fine. It's only the ones that really just don't ever really understand anything about it. They always just say that this keeps happening to them, or, woe is me, life's against me, those things. You need to be able to find the pro in every con. Because God's not going to elevate. You won't be able to be elevated. You're asking him to not elevate you in that way when you have a negative attitude about it. It's just like anything, whether it's a chore from your parent or an assignment in school that you don't really want to do. It still has to be done. And these are our assignments. And it's not really about what the fuck we want or what we think we need or what because we've already been making decisions, most of us, for our own life. It really hasn't been what we say we want and what we think is best. It clearly hasn't been the best idea, or we wouldn't be here today wondering where the fuck the next step is going to go. So in this time, we are probably coming up to, well, all of us are, whether you're in the beginning of a breakup or the end of it. I'm still not with anybody, and I'm continuing to become a different person and change. And at least this time, when I come back around to somebody new, I'm going to know how to be self-sufficient. I won't be looking at him to come in and take Zeke's place and pay the bills and do 50-50. And I've literally changed so much since I've let anybody live here. I haven't let any man live here for years. I never in the world thought I would do that. I was panicking too. I was right where you are. So don't give up. That's how it's going to go. It's going to be one or the other. You're either going to make it through and look back and be like, damn, I can't even believe that. You know, that was crazy time, and I did it, and we did it, and me and Halo do that. We have went through a lot of different phases in this house. And like I said, you know, when we broke up right off top, right after the move-in, oh man, I was so sad. I didn't unpack for 6 months. And I remember my family coming over and they were horrified, because I'm a very clean person. Down here, it's filled with a laundry pile. I called it Mount Laundry. My sister actually took a picture of me. I was sitting over there, literally up against the door. I was just depressed, dude. Unbelievably sad. I had extreme PTSD and abandonment and shock. It was really hard, okay? So just stay focused and just know that at the end of the day, you have the Ace of Cups always waiting for you. And you're going to know when the Ace of Cups is nearing your life, because that's how you're going to treat yourself. Whether people like who you are or think you should do something or something else, that's not what the fucking point is. It's whether or not you are confident enough within yourself, and you have self-respect, and you have respect for others too. And so when anything like that happens, when you mature, you're going to feel it. I mean, you're going to hear it, and you're just going to be like, and you'll either move on from your date, or you fucking will say something as a response. But no matter how you choose to respond in a mature way, you're either going to ignore it completely and brush it off your shoulder, or you are going to let this person know where you stand as far as that comment goes. If it bothers you to the degree that you needed to respond, you're going to tell them straight up right then and there, that's not what's going to fly. So if you're not nipping it in the butt or brushing it off your shoulder, and you're actually sitting there thinking about things and letting it get to you, and it's affecting you and changing your day, your mood, that's an area that you need to improve. Anything you need to put down on a to-do list to make sure you get it done. Final light out with the Death card. Represents important transformations, transitions, and rites of passage. It's much like having a witty... Death in the tarot isn't all doom and gloom. It simply represents progression and change. And that is what's happening. This is a death of our old selves, our old lives, and the problems that you used to have, they're not going to be in this chapter. But they're not going to end. People must think that, oh, this just keeps fucking happening to me, you know? It's like, life is always going to be giving you more and more and more, because you're always going to be growing. And your brain continues to grow too as well. We'll have to do a class on that, so I can teach you guys how to see that, so that you don't have to be so hard on yourself, okay? And I love you, and I will see you guys soon. I'm gonna go outside and doink around.